In my previous two videos, I was trying to explain my newly formed insights or work them live. And I realized something very important today, and I will try to work this thing out, or at least bring it to my memory. And it relates to my previous two videos. I was trying to establish a base for understanding intelligence, and humans have two centers of intelligence. This is the mind and the heart. And well, one deals with thoughts and imagination, and it's driven by intuition. This is the mind. And the other is the heart, and it deals with emotions and motions as well. And for some reason, and I may be getting to this later, we tend to favor one over the other. Tend to favor either the mind over the heart or the heart over the mind, which causes us to be prone to losing lucidity. And this I think is how it ties to my previous video on suffering. This loss of lucidity is caused when let's drop this. The thinking center, this subjective of one center over the other, it can be done, for example, through following a prescribed set of rules like morality, which is basically subjecting the heart to the mind, or it can be caused by impulsiveness, when we follow our desires at the expense of reasoning, because whatever the reason is, because they are strong, or because we don't trust the mind, or there are many reasons for that. But the key point is that these two centers can be coupled, not can be, they are coupled by default, which means that we can have thought stories about our emotions, and we can and our emotions can and do flare up our thoughts. And this is the root of personality, that we try to explain to ourselves the fact that we feel negative emotions for whatever reason, or that we think various things with association to what we feel. And this coupling of the intelligence centers prevents us from having them both in our awareness at the same time. Because when a challenging situation appears and we need to make choice, these two centers they seem redundant because they serve the same purpose. And to resolve this conflict, we stick to one or to the other. And this causes suffering, because when we split our awareness, we lose intelligence, and we create this subconscious mind that has its own agenda, that works behind our back. So the problem that we're trying to solve by introducing morality or letting our desires control us is that we seem to think that these intelligence centers are redundant, that we don't need one or the other, or that we don't have the skill to follow them both at the same time, even when they are conflicted. And that is because these two centers are coupled and they tend to diverge. And this coupling of those two emotional centers is a shadow. This is what shadow is. It is the way in which one center influences the other and vice versa. So for example, we can learn to explain our emotional wounds to ourselves, and we come into contact with another person that threatens our explanations, and this causes us pain because our stories are being undermined. And instead of facing this pain, we use this pain to fight, and we blame the other person for inflicting it. And that is not the case at all. We are doing this to ourselves because we explain our pain instead of feeling it, being present to our emotions. And this causes the split and the loss of lucidity, loss of consciousness, loss of intelligence. And this causes loss of lucidity, and it does not mean that we should, because there seems to be no way out of this if it is formulated this way, because we cannot do anything to heal our wounds, right? We cannot think our way out of this. We cannot feel our way out of this. If we give in to strong emotions and play this thing out and hurt other people, we're just reinforcing the story. So the only way out of this is to be mindful and have these two centers forcibly equal when shadows emerge, to observe what is happening and face the pain and let the stories unravel without losing lucidity, which is very difficult. It is basically facing the shadow. But when we are able to go through this backlash, then the centers become decoupled. They feel and think independently. We are less reactive, less prone to becoming automatic in our behavior, less prone to sleep. So there is a great this is how shadows actually trap our consciousness. And there is a different possibility of intelligence if we are able to decouple these two centers, because then we are able to perceive other people's shadows, because we are not we do not tend to get caught up in reactiveness, but we see when people lose lucidity, because we can keep those two centers, keep being present to those two centers simultaneously. And I don't know why and how, but I know that this is somehow related to karma. And I will be pondering this in the future. It also has connection to teaching people and dealing with their karma. But I will have to, it will have to cook in me before I can say anything. And when it comes to our tendencies to stick to either of those centers, either the mind or the heart, I don't know what causes us to be centered in either of them. Possibly it's due to, well, it has to be caused by the way in which we are formed prior to our self-understanding, prior to waking up, possibly during very early childhood, possibly due to trauma, accidental trauma, or not accidental perhaps, because we definitely do pick up on our parents' shadows and our parents' behaviors and play them out until we see through them. So this is how this shadowy nature keeps living across generations and influence our lives and probably constitute spiritual sleep. So for today, this is it. I am pretty excited right now and a little bit shaken, but well, I think this is life-changing insight for me, and we'll see where it takes me. Thanks.